Hello everyone. Today we'll discuss about the model 3.3, that is AJAX with XMLHTTP object. Okay, so basically this model covers about how to interact with the AJAX with the HTML. So the first is creating AJAX applications. The question arises that how to interact with the HTML and the AJAX into our application. We need to use the JavaScript. Okay, so JavaScript is like a scripting language that interacts with the front end, not the back end. The front end, the back end might be the PHP, the ASP, all those kind of things. So basically we have the HTML here. In this we are using a JavaScript file, that is pets.js. Basically in this is a CSS style. CSS is like you styling the HTML. HTML is like the skeleton of a body, and CSS is like how you look good, fair, dark, the complexions. If you want to style the particular HTML element, you have to mention it here by ID, by class. If you go to the class, you use the dot operator, and if you go by the ID, you use the hash key symbol. I have the complete sum of the HTML tag to demonstrate the implementation of AJAX, that is interaction of AJAX with the HTML, as well as the JavaScript for the data. Okay, so what I just explained, the explanation is same here. JSON data. So before jumping on JSON, so what is JSON? JSON is a text that we can convert in any JavaScript object and send to server. Why? Because server just takes the text, not the database values with the integer, float, those all kind of things. For that reason we send that to the database. That's just the print text. For that reason we use the JSON, that is JavaScript object notification. So we are using JSON. Why? In order to fetch the records from the JavaScript, and in order to by using the AJAX HTML HTTP object request. So this is a JSON. So how you can identify the JSON? You can see this in double quotes. This is the property, this is the value, property, value, property, value, property, and values. This is an array. This is a just and property value. This is one type of record, and other type of record with the same properties. You can see same properties but different values. So this is a JSON, JavaScript object notification. Why? There is an object, there is a value. Why? How you can tell it's an object? You can see this square brackets. Also you can see this flower brackets. For that reason it's an object. One object with this records, another object with this records. So how to use the JavaScript in order to read those this records? First of all, if you want to read the record, I'm using the window to onload. That is, once the page load, do something. Okay, once the page load, call this function. This function is present here. Inside this function we're calling another function. Also you can write all these computations inside this. Just for the demonstration purpose, I've written to call when the page loads, to call this kind of function. So what this function does, you can see I'm using a var keyword. Whenever you use any variable to declare variable, you use the var keyword, like int in C, int C is equal to something in C++. So var is a keyword. You should declare the variable of any type. Okay, now we are using the AJAX. In order to use the AJAX, we are using one keyword from the AJAX, that is XMLHTTP request. This request is requesting that from data. From where data? We have to fetch the data from where it's present. Suppose in a folder we have put the JSON file, also this JavaScript file. So request.open, request, it's coming from here. Open, this is a keyword. Once again get. Why? Because we're fetching, that's why get. If you want to post something, then we use put. Get pets.json. This pets.json is this file present in the same folder. For that reason, if it's on another file, we used to write this way. .1 style indicates that it's in a different directory. Since it's in a single folder, single directory, so directly the JSON file .json extension request.on ready state change. This indicates that whenever we need to read the data, read it. This is the keyword. In single function, you can see there is no function name, but there is only keyword. Don't get confused of the function name and function. This is a function keyword without the function name. For this is known as anonymous function. So anonymous function is a function who doesn't have the name. So if you want to syntax, now this function is been assigned to this variable. Okay, there is no function name, this just function keyword and the parenthesis. Another variable we're using document.get element by id. This is the JavaScript syntax to get a particular HTML element. Okay, so what's the HTML element? Our HTML element is here. Okay, we are getting something, that is fetching some element using JavaScript. For that reason, document, which is HTML document.get element by id. Why id? Because we have specified some id to a HTML elements. In our case, the HTML element is div tag with an id. For that reason, document.get element id, whatever the id name is, we're accessing here. Here we'll be displaying the JSON values. Now, for initially it's empty. First we have to read it for using the AJAX, then we have to post using the post method, and to display here. For the display here we are fetching by id. simple to understand. And we are checking whether that data is read or not. We need to check whether the records we have fetched, whether we have fetched correctly or there's an error. For that reason, if this ready state, this is a keyword indicates which on current function is calling ready state. Okay, the ready state indicates that whatever the details have been fetched, whether that state is the ready state or it's in a waiting state. Okay, is equal to this dot done. This all are the keywords inbuilt in the AJAX. Initially you have to remember those, but once you practice on, you'll remember all these words automatically. Done. And status to 200. Some status are there like 401, 505 errors. So like one status is there, it indicates that yeah, there is no error, the data has been read. Okay, and one more, if this response to text, if the JSON is there but there's no empty, there's empty. If it's empty, then display this. If not empty, then in our HTML this the response text. This is the data it's displaying here. Okay, now it's reading, not displaying, it's reading. How to it's reading? By fetching the ID value there in HTML from here. In HTML is a JavaScript. It's appending the whatever the value is coming from here, whether the value is read properly or there's an error. Either of this, it's appending to this HTML tag by using the syntax. This is a JavaScript mixed with AJAX type. So moving on, once you read, you can see this, the values will be displayed like this. So this is the HTML. In the field tag inside the div ID, the values have been fetched here. So it is a basic syntax explanation on function, how to read the data in the JSON format using AJAX. Moving on further, the whatever I said, the explanation is here. Window onload, I've just cut short the above function into small chunks. Explanation. Okay, the XMLHTTP request object. This is the object where it is used in the AJAX, where it is used to fetch the records. For that reason, you request. If you request someone, if you're requesting to buy a book from a store, so you request that, not response. For that reason, XMLHTTP request object. Okay. You can see this var request is called new XML request object. Here we are telling the variable this is a request type, and this variable it can use this keyword open get, since we are fetching the details from that JSON file. And this is the part which I explained earlier. Request or send is the data which you want to send to another file or the same file. Now how to display the values which been fed. The post method is used, or the put method is used to display the values which been fetched from the JSON file using that XML request object. The request open method doesn't actually send the request. To do that, we need the request to send, okay, in order to display the values in the HTML page. Request.onReadyState works the same way. We assign a function to onReadyState property of the request object. This function and this explanation I explained earlier. For your understanding, I've written this kind of thing in a much more lengthy way. Okay, one more twist is that it could be sending the request, awaiting response, or it could be done and ready for you to process the results. Here you have seen the if condition. In the if condition, it checks whether the data is read properly, whether it's waiting for something, whether that data is there but it's empty. For that reason, a request awaiting and it could be done and ready for you to process the results. Okay, so this is a diagram. Suppose here this is a HTML empty. Okay, when we want to read the JSON, so how to do it? We use the XML HTTP request on ready state, status text open send. Okay, the explanation request you can see same as that of the above function. Initializing request open get method, we're fetching the values. Okay, then we are opening the function. You can see this, get the JSON file, and once I get the JSON file, what to do about that? You have to display it. For that reason, you use this onReadyState function, anonymous function. It doesn't have the name. Send or to display the values by using the send command, send keyword, and hence the output results of that displaying in the text box in the HTML page. So handling the response, how to handle the response properly once we get the values. Okay, so this is the if condition. If that response is been done or it's been waiting for 200 status, or the contents of it are empty. For that reason, if you want to check or handle the response, this is the condition, basic simple condition of how to handle the response, that is the data values once you fetch from the JSON file. The callback function is an unknown function. Since I said it is a function without a name, that is a callback function. Okay, any function without a name is known as anonymous function. But in some applications, a callback is one. Suppose now you're listening to me. At the same time, you can drink the water, right? That you're doing multitasking. The same you can achieve by using this callback. You're sending the function something, and that function can do take the value from me and also process the same thing to some other user. That is the future of this callback. The end result is that using an anonymous function is exactly the same as using a name, but it bypasses the step where the function is defined with the name. The whatever explanation is given you that with the water drinking, the same statement explanation is here. Moving on further, testing the ready state. The ready state, which is shown in the diagram, this is the ready state. Testing the ready state, whether that we have fetched the value, whether how to handle the request and all. This is again data of the JSON. Okay, the same expression is here. How to test the ready state? We set the value of the request body on ready state change property to a callback. You know what is a callback? That will be called when a change occurs. If you enter any new values in JSON, then it will read and refresh the values. For that explanation is in this sentence. Okay, so what happens when the functions call something happens in the JSON value? So if you add something in the JSON value, how to reflect that in a HTML? So this on ready state change, you can see the state change. It detects whether there's a new record been added in the JSON. Whether it's a new record, then again this function will be invoked and it will refresh automatic once you open your HTML page with referencing to your JavaScript file. Then only it will reflect the changes which is mentioned in the JSON file. This is the feature, one of the feature of the AJAX. So the remaining part I'll cover in the next video. It will be difficult, but I'm trying to explain in a simple manner. Okay, so any doubts regarding this, just message me, and thank you for your time.